Brat found out the internet had already ended her marriage, before she even knew it was in trouble. That's how fast this fire spread. A claim nobody could prove, that Judy was stepping outside with a man, that Brat had caught her, and that divorce papers were already drawn up, and within hours, the entire internet had tried, convicted, and buried a marriage that was still very much alive. And while all that was trending, the two women it was actually about were literally lying in bed together, filming it live on Snapchat, laughing in disbelief as they watched their own split go viral in real time. What Brat said the exact second she saw her household dragged through headlines, that's the part nobody talks about enough. Because a claim doesn't need to be true to do real damage. It just needs a shocking title, a screenshot, and enough people willing to repeat it without checking a single fact. By the time Brat and Judy even saw the gossip, thousands had already decided what really happened. But the story didn't stop there. Because years before this controversy, LisaRaye had already stood in front of cameras and confronted her sister about something else entirely, and now, that old moment was suddenly being twisted into something it never was. To understand how deep this goes, you have to understand who these three women actually are, not the flattened, headline versions of them, but the real people with real histories that this rumor completely steamrolled. So what did Brat actually say when she saw the claims? What did Judy say back? And why is LisaRaye's name suddenly attached to a scandal she never actually commented on? Brat didn't hear about it from a headline. She heard about it the way most people do now. Someone screenshotted it and sent it straight to her phone. And what she read made her sit straight up. The claim was specific enough to sound real. Judy had been seeing a man. Brat had already caught her. There was already talk of child support, of Brat kicking Judy out the house they built together. Whoever started it didn't just throw out a vague accusation. They built a whole scene, with a villain and a victim already assigned. That's exactly why it spread the way it did. People don't share vague gossip. They share stories that already have an ending. By the next morning, it had jumped platforms, X, YouTube, group chats, comment sections on posts that had nothing to do with either woman. Somebody clipped an old interview and reposted it with a new caption implying it was proof. Somebody else claimed inside information from a friend of a friend who worked at Kaleidoscope Hair, the company Judy actually built from the ground up before she ever met Brat. None of it held up under scrutiny, but scrutiny wasn't the point. Momentum was. Their response wasn't a press release written by a publicist. It was Brat and Judy in bed, phone propped up, filming themselves reacting in real time, the most dangerous kind of response for a claim like this, because it's unscripted. There's nowhere to hide a real reaction when the camera's rolling before you've had time to compose yourself. "We ain't getting no divorce," Brat said flatly, not bothering to sound diplomatic. "No careful wording, no we're focusing on our family nonsense. Just irritation, the kind that comes from being accused of something you know isn't true." Judy came in even sharper, mocking the entire premise, sarcastically repeating the claim back like it was too ridiculous to take seriously. That's a specific kind of reaction. People actually hiding something tend to over-explain, tend to sound rehearsed. Judy laughed at it instead. But the pushback didn't kill the story, it fed it. Two camps formed fast online. One side took their reaction at face value and moved on. The other side decided the speed of it was suspicious, that nobody denies something that fast unless they're covering for it. That's the trap. There's no response that satisfies everybody once half the audience has already picked what they want to be true. The claim kept mutating from there. Judy cheated with a man turned into theories about their son's paternity, about Brat's finances, about who really held the power in the relationship. What almost nobody brought up accurately in any of it, their son, true legend, was born through IVF in July 2023, using Judy's egg, and Brat carried the pregnancy herself at 49 years old. That's a real, documented, deeply personal medical journey, one Brat had been open about publicly, and it got flattened into a paternity conspiracy by people who never engaged with the actual facts of how their family was built. Each layer of the rumor had less connection to anything either woman had actually said. By the time it had circulated for a week, it barely resembled where it started. That's where LisaRaye's name entered. Not through anything she said about this specific claim, but because people online remembered her emotional confrontation with Brat on Cocktails with Queens years earlier, where she called her sister out for keeping the relationship private. People started resurfacing that clip, claiming LisaRaye had known all along something was wrong, even though that earlier moment was about feeling shut out of her sister's life, not about predicting infidelity. Once a narrative gets rolling, people bend old footage to fit a new story, whether it fits or not. Go back to that cocktails with Queens moment specifically, because it's worth separating from everything built on top of it. LisaRaye wasn't warning anybody about cheating that day. She was standing in front of cameras, visibly hurt, telling her sister she'd found out about major life developments through social media, instead of a phone call. That's a documented moment about family communication. It has nothing to do with infidelity, yet every time this claim resurfaces, someone clips that confrontation and slaps a caption on it implying she called it. It also helps to understand why LisaRaye reacts the way she does to anything involving her sister's relationships. LisaRaye's own high-profile marriage to Michael Missick, the former premier of Turks and Caicos, ended publicly and messily years ago, tangled up in political controversy that played out in international headlines. That's real, well-documented history, and it's reasonable that someone who lived through a public marital collapse might be protective of her sister. But being protective isn't the same as having predicted this specific, unrelated 2024 rumor. Conflating the two is exactly how people manufacture a warning that was never actually given. That's worth sitting with, because it shows exactly how these stories get constructed. Nobody has to lie outright. They just take something real and move it next to something unrelated until viewers connect dots that were never actually connected. Now the timing matters more than anything else here. The cheating claim hit hardest in September 2024. Brat and Judy pushed back within days, unscripted. What happened in the months after isn't buried, it's public record. They kept appearing together publicly, including at an Atlanta Pride event not long after the claim broke. Notable, given Judy has been open that she's dated men in the past, which is often the exact detail rumor spreaders leave out when trying to make seeing a man sound like a smoking gun rather than simply part of her documented dating history before Brat. By September 2025, they were sitting side by side on the podcast We Sound Crazy, promoting a relationship book they'd co-written called The Way Love Goes, set for a February release, openly discussing real struggles from years earlier, trust issues before they officially got together in 2020, 3 full years after they first met. Brat admitting she'd checked Judy's Instagram to make sure she was really single. Judy recalling how it hurt when calls went unanswered. Think about what that actually means. Writing and promoting a book about relationship trust a year later isn't the behavior of two people quietly nursing a fresh, unresolved betrayal. The documented timeline doesn't just fail to support the scandal, it runs directly against it. What actually happened here is less a hidden affair and more a case study in how fast an unverified claim can travel once it's shaped like a story. Betrayal, a wronged spouse, a sister who saw it coming. Every piece sounds satisfying. Almost none of it holds up against what Brat, Judy, and even LisaRaye have actually done and said since. They didn't disappear from public life. They got married on February 22, 22, a date chosen specifically for its numerical symbolism. Brat in a custom gown paired with sneakers, staying true to her own style even on her wedding day. None of that reads like a couple in hiding, and none of it reads like a couple who quietly fell apart the way this rumor insists. But just when it looked like this was simply a rumor that faded on its own, a separate detail, the noticeably slower rollout of new Brat Loves Judy seasons started getting pulled into the narrative by people looking for any thread to keep the scandal alive, and that's where things get more complicated to untangle. The claim surfaced in September 2024, spread fast across X and YouTube, and both women pushed back directly on camera within days. Brat calling it the dumbest as I ever heard, Judy mocking the premise outright. That happened. It's documented, and it's still circulating in clip form today. Neither of them went quiet afterward. Their public profiles stayed fully intact. Joint appearances at events like Atlanta Pride, continued press together, no scrubbed social accounts, none of the behavior you'd typically expect from a couple actually unraveling behind closed doors. A full year later, in September 2025, they were promoting that co-written book together, discussing real vulnerabilities from their actual past, on a public podcast, by their own choice, with no obligation to revisit any of it. That's a level of voluntary exposure people don't typically choose while actively hiding something far bigger. Any claim that LisaRaye knew beforehand. Any claim linking her 2023 comments on cocktails with queens to this 2024 rumor. Any claim about custody battles, legal teams, or courtroom filings. None of it traces back to Brat, Judy, or LisaRaye themselves. It's been manufactured and remanufactured, mostly by creators repackaging the same claim whenever it needs a fresh traffic boost. On the industry side, the one real, verifiable shift is that Brat loves Judy's later seasons slowed in production and release cadence, which is where that scheduling detail comes back in. But slower scheduling for a multi-season reality show years into its run is a common industry pattern across the genre, not inherently evidence of anything happening off camera. The rumor primed audiences to read tension into a gap that, taken on its own, means very little. The same way people read meaning into any celebrity's silence, even when that silence is just life happening off camera. The actual consequence of all this isn't to the marriage, which the public record shows has held through a pandemic-era engagement, a wedding, an IVF pregnancy, a birth, and now a co-written book. It's to how the story itself keeps getting resold. Every few months, somebody repackages the same 2024 claim under a new title, finally speaks out, the truth comes out, was right all along, as if something new dropped, when really it's the same unconfirmed claim, still contradicted by everything both women have publicly done since. So that's the real story. Not a hidden affair, not a secret custody war, but a claim that hit hard in September 2024, got pushed back on within days, on camera, unscripted, and never held up against what came after. A year later, they're co-writing a book about trust, sitting side by side on a podcast talking through their real, actual struggles voluntarily. That's not what a couple hiding a fresh betrayal looks like. Here's what's actually worth asking. Why does this specific claim keep getting revived every time it needs a new headline? Who benefits from a marriage getting exposed for the 5th time when nothing new has actually happened since 2024? Drop your take below. Does the internet owe Brat and Judy an apology for how far this got pushed? Or do you think there's still more nobody said out loud? And is LisaRaye's real 2023 moment with her sister getting misused here? Or does it still say something true about how she feels? If you want the real story behind situations like this, not the loudest headline, but what actually happened, that's what this channel's about. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay locked in. Because the next time this claim resurfaces with a new title slapped on it, and it will, you'll already know the real timeline behind it.